Hello everyone. Let's proceed on to the next chapter, NCERT Political Theory, and the chapter will be Equality. And since you are preparing for civil services examination, and this exam recruits public servants, and those public servants they handle day-to-day governance, or they work to keep common interests above everything. So it is about common interest. And when I put together common interest, governance, this examination and the chapter, all four of them together, and when I compare and bring out an analysis, it means we are talking about common interests, and we are talking about equality in those common interests, and those common interests are going to be socio-political and economic. Other than that, you cannot seek equality in any other sphere, such as a spiritual affair. If someone is happy enough, you cannot seek a fair standing. You cannot ask the government to make you happy. Or if someone is psychologically tough, if someone is psychologically neuroplastic or psychologically ambidextrous, ambivalent, in all those personality features, you cannot ask for equality. In short, you need to keep yourself limited up to these three spheres: social, political, and economic. Okay, let's start with the basics. Equality, uh, it is a cornerstone of democratic governance. So this line, this phrase, cornerstone of democratic governance. So as I have mentioned in the previous video, democracy is the rule of people, and rule by people. So people rule themselves. This is democracy. People are ruling themselves, and by rule I mean people are debating, making rules, and they ensuring their implementation. So by rules I means law, bylaws, and all other legal aspects. So this is how people rule themselves in democracy. And governance governance is similar to rule. You are governing people, or you are governing a certain uh, mass of society. So in that governing part, all these features, all of them, they are the debating what is good and what is bad for them, and then after a long debate, you make rules, bylaws, decisions, and when you take them, you ensure the implementation, and for that you have a machinery, and that machinery is what you are preparing for. Machinery is civil services. So, and so having talked that we are a democratic country, and you are going to be part of a machinery that delivers what has been decided by people themselves. In such a case, you need to ensure equality. Look, the population, people, they are a lot many, and those who are governing them, they are too few. And you also know that India is a country of diversity. There is diversity of religion, there is diversity of caste, there is diversity of cultural features, there is diversity of languages, there is religio and sectional diversity, there, there is political diversity. In such a case, when so few people are governing so many people, in such a case is itself, the governance parameter is itself unequal. But you cannot make it equal. You cannot make everyone a public servant. You cannot make everyone um, a specialist of a particular department. You cannot make everyone a police officer, because certain things need training, certain thing need experience, certain thing need proper experiences. So having said that, when the delivery of services and the manpower itself being unequal, how can we talk about equality? But it is necessary. Equality is the sine qua non. It is essential condition for democratic governance, because democracy itself means that people are ruling themselves. So people are the ruler, or people are the priority. So if they are priority, the unequal democratic governance or unequal manpower in delivering those services, they cannot use those their power for the detriment or for the bad of others. They cannot indulge in such wrong practices that foster or that promote inequality. So equality need to be promoted by the rule itself, or the ruling power itself. So the government, it promotes equality, and the rule, by which I mean the constitution. The constitution also promotes equality, and equality is in these three dimensions: social, political, and economic dimensions. Next, equality denotes the state of being equal, especially in status, rights, and opportunities. Yes, the first, the equality of status. So before law, when I talked about rule of law yesterday, so rule of law, it means that the ruler is a law, a rule book, a constitution, and before that ruler, before constitution or before law, everyone's status is equal. Yes, there might be some privileges to certain high dignitaries, eminent persons, but overall, before law, everyone is equal. So that's the equal status. Then rights in India, these many people, 140 crore, all of them have equal rights. It is not that certain people, certain rulers, or certain people from high classes or rich or entrepreneurs or industrialists or political leaders, they have been given special rights. No, some privileges are there, and they are there to so that governance can be executed with ease. So that is for ease for us, that is for our comfort, that the political dignitaries and any such section with the authority of government of India hold some such privileges. But other than that, all of us have equal rights, equal political, social rights. And then comes the opportunities, by which um, it means that the opportunities in all spheres of life, whether it is social, political, and economic, and which can be rooted in this root word, that is common. So in common spheres, in public spheres, everyone has equal opportunity. Just like you are preparing for civil services, and there are no foundations on you other than the technical aspects. It doesn't mean a tall person or a short person or someone from um, this particular caste or this particular religion or this particular region or this linguistic dialect or this marked disability, any such. There are no inhibiting criteria. So in public sphere, everyone who is technically capable to take this exam are enrollable. So these are the equality of opportunities. And even if you are going to start a business, even if you are starting something, you want to start a startup, even in those conditions, you have been given equal opportunities from the constitution itself. Then, in a society marked by diversity, so that is talking about our country, India is full of diversity, diversity which is not seen anywhere in up to such extent. We have diversity of everything. And in such a diversity, ensuring equality remains challenging yet essential goal. Yes, because if there is a diversity in society, if there are four different kind of people, and the the ruling machinery, if they favors a particular person, so let's say in just excuse me for a minute. So let's suppose there are four kind of people in a society, A, B, C, and D, and all of them, according to democratic norms, they have elected a person, say X. Now, if while delivering services, the person X it favors only two sections and ignores these two, C and D, altogether. And as you may learn in the upcoming chapters, that this election process, this governance thing, the working of this machinery, all all of them, it needs money. So where is the money coming from? This money will come from two sources, direct and indirect, direct taxes and indirect taxes, and both are given by these people, these sections A, B, C, and D. Now, if X misusing his or her power, if he favors two sections to the detriment of other two, with time what will happen is these two sections, they will either rebel against the present government, or they will try to secede, they will try to become separate from it, or there will be some chaotic outcome, because the condition itself is unequal. If all of them are paying for the regular governance, all the four sections are paying for um, uh, optimum conditions. In such a case, if those if the money is not utilized properly and if the power is being misused, so this diversity, it will come under threat. In the same way, if a society is diverse, in such a case, ensuring equality, it remains an essential goal. Okay, now coming to the next, understanding equality. Equality is a normative concept. Normative, it means, the root word of normative is norm, which means a custom. So this custom or this norm, it it is structured in society. It does not imply absolute sameness, but rather fairness and non-discrimination. That is the root. Non-absolute equality cannot be absolute, and while preparing for this exam, and when you go further into all the other subjects, you will get this outline, you will get this idea that the political nature of a constitution, it is non-absolute. Nothing is absolute. No one is given the absolute power. Even the highest political dignitaries, such as president or prime minister, they have a system of checks and balance. By checks and balance, I means they have some control. Nobody has been given absolute powers. Everybody or every power, every station is being controlled by other station. All right. So the essential idea of equality is, first, it is non-absolute, and second, it is about fairness, and third, it is about non-discrimination. And all of these are normative and dynamic things. Dynamic in the sense that just as I have written here, fairness, the equality, it entails fairness in opportunities. Now, what is fair? This thing is subjective. Unless written and unless the parameters are delineated properly, the fairness thing can be misused, it can be expropriated, it can be mm, molded in such a way that the unfair things can be cited as fair, just as the acts and the favorable treatment to these two sections A and B. In this case also, if challenge, X can equally present an insurmountable evidence that his reaction or his favorable treatment to these two sections, it was fair, and this thing can be proved. It is just a hand of trick, by some trick, by some tramping of evidence, by finding the loopholes. Everyone can make unfair things fair. So this fairness thing, this is subjective and dynamic, and but it is, and it has been time and again tried to be put in order by the system of checks and balance, by which I mean our government has three pillars: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. So this legislative branch, what it does, it makes rules, such as parliament. Now these rules are implemented, so implemented by the executive branch, which is the ministries, and they implement what decisions or rules or laws has been made by the legislative branch. And now, if there is any dispute regarding the making rules, by the nature of rules, or by the execution itself, or by the implementation itself, those disputes are handled by the judiciary. So this is the system of checks and balance, that no single pillar or no branch of government has been given the absolute authority. In the same way, the fairness, it has been mentioned in the constitution itself, but since it is subjective, by the system of checks and balance, this these parameters or these branches are held in control by each other. Next comes the non-discrimination. So non-discrimination thing is the same way the The basis is same, which is if a society is diverse enough, there may be uh, unequal shuffling of population. Some section may be more, some section may be less. Okay, because wherever you live, whichever part of country you live in, whichever society you are in, and you might have seen this, and you may read about it in all the upcoming reports, in upcoming subjects, that the society is not distributed in equal pockets. There may be some, such as you take example of Haryana. So in Haryana, there are no scheduled tribes, no STs. And if we take example of any other, such as if you take example of Jammu and Kashmir, there are a lot of Muslims there. If you take example of uh, other pockets, so this distribution of population or distribution of diversity, it is not uniform. So you can say the diversity is not distributed uniformly, non-uniform distribution of diversity. In such a case, if the elected representatives, they misuse their authority for the detriment of those in minority, which can easily happen. In such a case, the non-discrimination clause of equality, it ensures that the, the elected representatives or the machinery or the branches of government, they do not misuse their power, or they do not employ their powers and privileges and services to discriminate against any individual or a particular group. Okay, now coming to the core features of equality. First, absence of discrimination, and I have already described it. And the characteristics or parameters, that people should not be treated differently based on arbitrary characteristics such as race, gender, religion, or caste. All right, this thing need to be explained in depth. So the idea behind this absence of discrimination is that discrimination would be there. Discrimination is going to be there, such as, for example, you are a curator of a dance academy, and for Bharatnatyam you need a female dancer. In such a case, if a male dancer who is good enough comes and seeks the opportunity, but since you need a female dancer and a male dancer cannot compensate the absence, in such a case you would say no. But the, male dancer, he may cite the absence of discrimination clause in the features of equality, saying that I cannot be discriminated against since we are living in a equal country. In such a in this particular case, discrimination is necessary. In the same way, if ISRO wants to recruit some scientists, scientists who have an experience of 10 years, in this case also, if someone who is not experienced enough, if someone who is not from the field itself, in that case the joining or the aspiring person, he cannot cite this clause. So my point is, the constitution itself has known this, that if made a law, or If cited a core feature of equality, the clause of discrimination may be misused because in that case, anybody with failing technical aspects may seek equality on on the anvil of this clause. So some technical discrimination would be there. It would be in sync with the profession. It would be in sync with the requirement. It would be in sync with the job itself. It would be in sync with the propriety. That means it is about upon the job seeker and the job giver. But other than that, the government will not employ arbitrary or arbitrary in sense the nonsense characteristics such as race, gender, religion, or caste. So if you are an aspiring civil servant and you want to join civil services, but if UPSC say you are from this particular caste, X caste, which we do not want in our service, and so you are not eligible for the service. In such a case, this is a nonsense characteristic, and in that case, you can cite this clause, absence of discrimination. In the same way, if you are a girl and you want to join any government department, but having fulfilled all other rest of the criteria, now you are being discriminated, or if you are being shunted out of the job just because you are a girl, even in that case, the clause is nonsense and you can cite it. Now, the second characteristic is equal access. That opportunity should be open to all individuals, ensuring that no one is disadvantaged due to systemic barriers. All right. And as I already said, I am this chapter itself, or the whole uh, preparation itself, it will revolve around these three dimensions: social, political, and economic. So, in all these three fields or spheres of individual life, opportunity should be open, such as in economic opportunities. First, you are a CSE aspirant, so this economic opportunity is there for you. Other than that, if you want to open a shop, if you want to open start a startup, if you want to pursue a career in as a wildlife photographer, if you want to join sports, if you want to um, start a freelance work, in all such cases you are free to do, and the government or the state, it has to ensure that the opportunities are available for you, and you will be not disadvantaged against due to systemic barriers. Systemic barriers are those barriers or those obstacles that are in the system. A system by which I means both the government machinery and the social apparatus. And this one is especially about caste, gender, race, and religion, all the four aspects. And you know that caste system is still rampant in our country, and many government departments, many politicians, many leaders, and many educated persons, they profess their loyalty to the individual caste, and while professing their loyalty to their caste, they also indulge in the the malign caste discrimination, which means first if they belong to a certain caste X, and if and they have professed their loyalty to it, other than the government of India or other than the national flag, they have um, hardcore loyalty to their caste. But after citing their loyalty, they also practice caste discrimination because caste system itself is unequal. There is a hierarchy kind of thing, and excuse me, a hierarchy kind of thing. And in such a case, there are some upper caste, there are some lower caste, and the upper caste they are likely to practice this lower caste looking down upon thing, which in short means discrimination. So if they are higher, they are going to discriminate against the lower caste, and the same thing happens in the government departments also. So these are the systemic barriers that I've been talked about in the second topic. So, but the Constitution ensures that these barriers against caste and gender, uh, most of the civil service aspirants that are preparing now, the fresh ones, they might not have known the condition that was prevalent before the independence. Before independence, at the time, women were not allowed to cross the threshold of their house. Women were not allowed to go out. Women were totally kept under protection, kept um, under veil. So a veiled boundary that was the life of women before independence, but the independence struggle, the freedom struggle itself, it unshackled all those stereotypes and prejudices. And right now, the women of present India, the women of modern India, you have all the facilities. You don't have the veiled protection or the cage thing that was prevalent at that time. So these systemic barriers, right now, these are not in open, but still some people practice them. And and to protect against such systemic barriers, our constitution has inserted this clause. Now, next comes the recognition of diversity. While you strive for equality, yes, diversity is important. With diversity, it comes the tolerance, which means if you are a person from a particular religion, you need not show hatred against person from other religion, other caste, other gender, or any other parameter of diversity. Now comes dimensions of equality. The first one is political equality, that all citizens have equal voice in the political process. So the equal voice, it can be separated into two things. The first one is the right to vote, and the second one is the right to be elected. So the vote and the participation both are dimensions of political equality, and which includes universal adult franchising. Universal adult franchising means 18 plus can vote, can give their vote, and af- after a certain age, such as 25, you can participate in the parliamentary elections. So universal adult franchisee, it means that those who are adult, they are universally entitled to vote in the election process. So every individual, regardless of gender, caste, wealth, has right to vote. And equal representation, that all citizens have the right to contest election and hold public office. If you want to be a minister, if you want to be a prime minister, if you want to be a civil servant, an IAS officer, any other public office, you are you have the freedom to contest for it. The second dimension, social equality, is this addresses discrimination based on social identities. So social identities are generally caste, religion, gender, subcaste, regional and sectional diversity. So in all these social identities, the Constitution ensures that the social equality dimension, it provides equal access to all such social identities without any discrimination. There is no caste hierarchy and no untouchability. Women enjoy the same status and rights as men, and this patriarchal domination thing. So, this patriarchal domination, so from ancient India to the present times, this patriarchal rule, patriarchy, is formed from two root words, patri and arcus. Patri means father, archai means rule. So it is rule of father, which a rule of male member, which you most of you can see in your household. In the same way, so from ancient India to modern times, this patriarchy was practiced both socially and politically. And even after independence, this patriarchal domination has been continued. But since our freedom fighters, the nationalist leaders, and the constitution, all of them, they have challenged these age-old obsolete norms and have provided women the same status and rights as men. Now, the third dimension, economic equality. Economic equality aims to minimize disparities in wealth and income. So it is about reducing the inequality, and which is done by equal pay for equal work. So these have both social and economic dimension, which is if you are paying equal work. So if you are working for 8 hours and according to hourly rate, you would be paid 800. And now there won't be any discrimination based on whether you are a woman, whether you are from a certain region, whether you are from a certain caste or certain religion. You would be paid equal money for equal work. And second, opportunities for upward mobility. Now this phrase upward mobility, as I have said, that the the situation before independence was uh, quite different than we see today. The caste-based work, the caste-based occupations were practiced, and by this system, if you are born in a certain caste, if you are born in a cobbler caste, and your father has been, and your ancestors have been cobbling or making shoes for generations. So according to this norm, you are also required to make shoes, and you cannot join any other occupation, and nor there is an upward mobility. It means even if you want to employ the best of your abilities, even if you purchase a new machinery to make shoes, even if you try to upgrade your business, there wasn't any upward mobility. So you have had, or your ancestors have had to do the things as it has been practiced since the time immemorial. So that disgusted or that uh, jam system it was. There wasn't any clause for upward mobility, but the constitution or the new India, it has provided upward mobility. Upward mobility in the sense that if you if you have been born poor, but by hard work you want to earn your share, by you want to earn fame, you want to earn a particular stature in society. And just take example, you are someone from a poor socio-economic background and you are preparing for civil services. Poor socio-economic background, you want to prepare for civil services, this exam. So now we are not in that ancient India, and the constitution itself guarantees economic equality, and it gives the opportunity for upward mobility. So if you are aspiring for a good position in society and you work hard and you clear this examination, you become an IAS officer, and you will gain a good stature because this post holds good prestige. So right now it is possible. Right now your upward mobility is possible. Right now if you are poor, you can easily become rich. But earlier it wasn't possible. Next comes the legal equality. Legal equality means that all are treated equally under law, by which I means rule of law. The law is supreme. The law, the constitution that is made by us, is it runs supreme. There is no ruler, there is no king, there is no queen, there is no monarch. Only law is the king. Law runs the country. And in such a case, everyone, all the subjects, all people are same under the law. So all individual, all citizen of our country, they holds the same status under the law, same status before the eyes of law. And it prohibits discrimination and guarantees equal access to justice. So if we are same before law, it means our access to justice, it is equally ensured. Now equality and justice. Now when talking about equality and justice, let's take up this phrase, substantive equality, which means that formal equality alone may not suffice. There is a need to address the historical inequalities. Well, let's elaborate this concept, substantive equality, which means both formal equality plus the historical ones. Or you can say it's a comprehensive equality. So the formal ones, that the formal equality or formal concepts of equality is what has been written in law or what has been ensured or suggested in the present times, such as UPSC recruits public servants through this examination. This is a case of present time. So this is a tool of ensuring formal equality. But there have also been the historical injustices, which you will read in the history books, in other standard political books. Historical injustices such as the caste system, the gender discrimination, and the religious issue. All of them, historically, the people have been subjected to discrimination based on caste, gender, and religions. In such a case, the, the timeline or the chronology of those injustices, they have been so significant and have been practiced for so long a time that some of many of those groups that belong to this discrimination, they have had not found that station yet. Many of them are still roiling under poverty. They have not stood up yet. So that's the best I can put it as such, that those communities, those people based on caste, gender, and religion that have been uh, meted with injustices, those people have not stood up yet. Those people, they are they are still under the shadow of those injustices, that their station or their stature, it has not improved, their conditions has not been improved. And in such a case, our constitution recognizes this thing, that the formal equality may not suffice. That even if some UPSC organizes civil services examination, it doesn't automatically give the right or doesn't automatically translate into uh, a total equality or comprehensive equality throughout the India, because those people, those sections that have been put under this discrimination thing, or those who have been um, shadowed by such injustices, they have not found a way to come out of those times. There are many people, there are many caste-based lower caste group that are still living in thatched roofs. Thatched roofs or poor houses, poor households. In many villages, such groups are still that are deprived of all basic amenities. And now if UPSC says that we have guaranteed equality, a comprehensive equality by organizing an an examination by which anyone can hold a public office, and we are not depriving anyone, we are not discriminating against anyone based on caste, race, gender, religion. But what about those that have been put under such historical injustices, those who have not been able to repair their thatched roof for generations? And I see these people just behind my house. I have talked to them, and mm, I can say what has been narrated is they have not rebuilt their house since independence, since 1947. And there are many such households, many such mud houses, many people who still use um firewoods. And and the reason is that they belong to a section that that was the center of such injustices. And in such a case, just this thing, just ensuring that you do not discriminate now, may not be sufficient. So you have to provide such situation for those underprivileged, such additional support, such as scholarship or reservation, so that these people, they can somehow come to a fair ground. Now, challenges to equality. First, deep rooted prejudices. Prejudices means to look at somebody in negative light. And one such thing is caste discrimination, and others just such as racial segregation in the United States, the black versus white thing. The black versus white thing and the caste system in India, both are comparably equal. And to achieve equality, this system, this caste discrimination, this religious discrimination, this gender-based discrimination, it is a prejudice virus. Second come economic disparities. Is capitalism or the money economy, it may drive growth, may make people rich, it may provide opportunities, but it also increases the equal income inequalities. So what happens is, in the in this capitalism system, one or a few entities, they grow larger, they accumulate all the wealth, and if they accumulate all the wealth, other section, they they face the shortage of capital and resources. In such a case, the income, it become concentrated in a few hands and result in a severe income inequality. The fourth challenge is political inequality, because access to political power, it is also depend it also depends on other criteria such as education, wealth, uh, number of people count, and prejudices. So all four of them, when put together, they ensure who gets the power. So someone from already um, higher background or higher access to political power, they may get they may reach the upper station soon, and those from the other backgrounds, those from the poor or not so fortunate backgrounds, they may not have political power. And unless they have political power, they will not be able to distribute resources for their community. They may not do something substantial for their own region or for their sections or for their people. So those who are already powerful, they concentrate power to themselves, and they employ to and they resort to other such criteria, which ultimately lead to both the unequal access to political power and uneven distribution of resources. So it's a kind of vicious cycle, a cycle in which the poor people or those who do not have political power, they never get the power, just because the power, it it keeps circling around those who are already in power. And the fourth challenge is global inequalities. So, disparity in wealth and technology, it also hinder global progress. So, developed nations dominate international institutions, sidelining the voice of developing country. And I'm talking about UN and WTO, UN, WTO, and ILO, United Nations, World Trade Organization, International Labour Organization, ASEAN, G20, G7. So all of these are international institutions. United Nations, you have already heard about it. So in United Nations, the mechanism or the institutions or the machinery that helps in execution and making decision, it is UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, and United Nations Security Council. Now what happens is, UN is run by, so whenever you uh, want to see what's going behind the scene, just follow the money trail. If you can follow the money trail, you will know the exact reality. In the same way, if you want to know about how India is being governed, just follow the money trail. Where is the money to run the country, to run the government coming from? So if you get the exact idea, you will know who is running our country. In the same way, UN, if you follow the money trail, you will know that many developed countries such as US and European country uh, and EU, US, European Union and other European countries, they contribute substantial amount other than China and Japan. So if you when you take a stock of all the money that has been contributed by these countries to the UN, you will know that just a handful of countries, these 7 to 10 countries including India, these 7 to 10 countries, they hold the maximum decision making power both in United Nations General Assembly and in United Nations Security Council. In the same way, the other groups, WTO, ILO, ASEAN, G20, G7, all of them work the same way. Follow the money trail, you will get the same statistics that a few countries, they are providing, they are assisting, contributing money to the working of these institutions, and whoever provides the money runs the show. That's the reality. So the fourth challenge, the global inequality, it is also a product of how these institutions that are there, you may include World Bank and IMF. So all such institutions, they are there for the welfare of people, they are there for global progress, but essentially they need to function properly, and for which they need money, and the money is provided by rich countries and already developed countries. So the power is being held by these developed countries. Now, what are the mechanisms to promote equality? First one is affirmative action. Affirmative action is in short help. If government can provide help to the marginalized communities such as SC, ST, other backward caste, such and the help in the form of reservation or scholarships, reservations, scholarships, and any such helping tools all come under affirmative actions, and by which these sections which have been met with historical injustices, they can be said to provide a fair ground or some comparable ground, because they are already riling under poverty or um, lack of education or lack of resources, lack of political power, and had been under the centuries of oppressive rule. In such a case, some help is necessary which can give them a fair ground or comparable ground. The second thing is the progressive taxation. So progressive taxation, it means higher earner pay more taxes. So this will help in two way. First, if someone is earning 1,000 and the other one is earning 100, so this is a rich person, this is a poor person, and if you subject both of them to 5% interest rate, this will be unequal. Unequal in the sense that this 5% will not be much for the rich person, but it will be a lot for the poor person. But if you implement a progressive taxation system in which the rich pay more, so the more you earn, the more you pay. So if you are earning 10,000 and your rate of interest is 10%, and the poor is subjected to 5%, in such a case, yes, the government has more money, more resources, and the burden will be shared equally, and this will likely to reduce income disparities. The welfare schemes, social welfare scheme in healthcare, education, subsidies, these also help a lot, such as government-run exam hospitals. You might have heard about AIMS. You might have heard about the government schemes such as PM Ujjwala Yojana, the insurance scheme, PM Ayush, the house making scheme, PM Awas Yojana. So all such welfare schemes, they help in reducing such disparities and promoting equality. And the next tool is legal framework. So India's Protection of Civil Rights Act. So if if you want to address inequality, you need to provide a legal framework. And in India's case, the legal framework has already been provided. The Protection of Civil Rights Act, also known as SC/ST Act, and we also have fundamental right in form of Article 17, 18, and they also act against act in the support of women and religious minorities. So all of them that we put together, these legal framework, they also help a lot in addressing such inequality. Next, talk about equality in the Indian context. Equality has been enshrined or included in the fundamental rights, those rights that are important for people, those rights that are inalienable, which means government or any other authority, they cannot take away those rights which are very important for um, development and growth of people. So that's why they are called fundamental rights. One such group of rights is Article 14 to 18, which are in some are called rights of equality. The first one is Article 14. It guarantees equality before law and equal protection of law. So, as has already been mentioned, rule of law, it means rule of constitution, and it is equal for everyone. And the other dimension is that equal status and equal protection. So in equal status, it means everyone is equal before law. Law does not see people differently. Law does not see rich and poor differently. Law does not see higher caste and lower caste, Hindus or Muslims, man or woman, people from South India or Northeast India, people from Jammu Kashmir or Madhya Pradesh, tall people or short people, higher earning people, lower earning people, English speaking people, Hindi speaking or local language speaking people. The rule of law, it gives equal space to diversity. So wherever you are from, if you are an Indian citizen or if you are born as a people, before law, you are equal. Next, equal protection, which means if you have been subjected to any injustice and if you have been subjected to any action by government or by any machinery of law, in such a case you will be given equal protection. So your stature and that of a prime minister or president or any top grade IAS officer and a common man, both are equal before law, common person. So this is the power of rule of law. That law, it is equal for everyone and you will be equally protected from law. Next come Article 15, which prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Which means, yes, discrimination can be there, technical discrimination can be there. If you want to join, if you want to be a cricketer but you do not know how to play cricket, so you will not be employed in the Indian cricket team. So that is a technical discrimination thing and that you must accept. But other than that, if you are a good bowler, if you are a good cricketer and you have all the abilities, you have performed well in all the screening tests, but you have been rejected just because uh, you are from Northeast or you are from this caste or you are a woman or your place of birth, such as you are born in Nagaland or in Andaman Nicobar, and you were denied entry into the Indian cricket team. So that is discrimination, and Article 15 will we come for your rescue, you can directly approach Supreme Court and challenge this decision. Article 16, it ensures equality of opportunity in public employment. If you want to be a civil servant, a public servant, if you want to be an IAS officer, if you want to be a prime minister, a minister, or any such services, or an engineer, any public office, if you want to hold any public office, you will not be discriminated against just because of these nonsense criteria. Technical things will be there. Other than that, if you are sane enough, if you do not have any disability which hinder you working as for certain public employment, other than that, you are free to seek or you are free to aspire for any public office. Next comes Article 17, which abolishes untouchability. So untouchability has been practiced in the ancient India, in which the higher caste people will would stay away from the touch of lower caste people. They will not accept food with them. They will not walk with them. They will not entertain any other activity which uh, brings two such people in contact. And it was highly discriminatory thing. If you want to, if you want to imagine this scenario, just look around you in the present India. We are living in so dearest proximity. We are living such close to each other, and in such a situation when you want direct contact with a lot of people regarding your education, regarding your employment, regarding other services, in such such atmosphere, this thing could not exist, untouchability. But there was a time when this was practiced, and there are still uh, hundreds of villages in India, hundreds of places where this untouchability is still practiced in its crude form, where people still have to stay away from the shadows or the touches of higher caste people. And in modern India, this untouchability thing is, it has also changed its form, but the original idea is still same. So the Article 17, it abolishes untouchability, and if someone practice untouchability with you, you can easily directly approach Supreme Court. And Article 18, it prohibits titles that perpetuate inequality except for military and academic distinction. So earlier, the the, the princes, the kings, the rulers, they used to use long titles, and such titles uh, would be an insignia, a hallmark of inequality, such as some king would use His Highness and his name, or someone would use prefix Thakur, someone would use this prefix Jagirdar, such and such. But Article 18, it had deleted and got away with all such titles. But you can still keep military and academic distinctions, such as if someone is lieutenant, or someone is major, or someone is a doctorate. In such a cases, you can keep your initial, you can keep your title. But other than that, keeping title is a is a crime in India. Now, global perspective. Global perspective, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It has recognized equality is a fundamental human right, and sustainable development goal and all has worked a lot to maintain or to ensure equality at global level. But new things such as climate change, pandemics, and now the newer scenario, the war, all of them, war and terrorism, all of them are there to perpetuate inequality in its wild form. And the gist of it, equality and liberty. So equality and freedom both are necessary, but both need to be balanced. First, because nothing can be absolute. If you side you have absolute freedom, you you are not likely to promote equality. Because if you are keen on, if you are sitting duck on your own freedom, that I am free person, I can do anything, I can pick up my roller, I pick up my gun and I can shoot at anyone because I am a free person. This absolute freedom is not given to you. And even if you are not going to resort to such violent action, other such mean and wicked action, such as you are um, a person with a good position, good power in society, and you try to misuse your power against uh, discriminate against people on nonsense criteria. This is likely to promote inequality. So equality and liberty both need to be balanced. And as such, it is written here that both of them are conflicting principle. And I have mentioned why. If you if you are keen on, if you stress upon your freedom, if you seek your freedom, you are likely to misuse your freedom, or you will likely to use your freedom in such a way that it will promote inequality. Yes, while equality seeks to minimize disparity, liberty emphasizes individual freedom. So both can be conflicting, but some political theorists such as John Rawls, he argues that these can coexist. So Rawls' theory of justice as Fane proposed that inequalities are acceptable only if they benefit the least advantaged. Yes. So his idea was that if there is inequality prevalent in a society, but such the fruits of such inequality, they flow towards the disadvantage, least advantaged or disadvantaged or deprived person. If they flow towards those who needs the benefit in such a way, inequalities are good. But other than that, we need to ensure the fairness in system itself. All right, that's the end of it. Thank you very much.